I liked challenging things. Uh, Doing The Sopranos for me was really a highlight in my life. I mean, I grew up in a neighborhood where there was so much organized crime, and I knew everybody. I mean, because I've worked in all the little saloons, and most of those guys own those places.
Right.
And through the years, I mean, people thought I was connected, and I was with this family or that family, and I was with no family. I had guys that liked me, but I always kept a distance. Anybody wanted to do anything for me or get me a job would come to me and say, "Hey, listen, you guys want to work in Vegas?" I said, "No, no, we're fine. We have all the work we need and all that." So I never really got myself involved, but I did have some very, very close friends. And if I named the names of these guys, you'd know every one of them.
Well, back then they had all the nightclubs, right, Frank? I mean,
Right. I mean, even the Copacabana. The Copacabana was loaded with wise guys all the time.
did you play there a lot? Did you play the Copa?
Yes, I did. Yes, I did.
Now, was that special, or because it's legendary? Was it special?
The Copacabana, you had actually arrived if you played the Copacabana. I mean, there were other clubs in the country. There were in Massachusetts. There was a club called Blindstrom's.
Mr. Kelly's in Chicago.
Absolutely, and in Pennsylvania there were a number of everything from Palumbo's to Imperioli's, and all these guys. These gangsters hung out in all these places, so it was a natural. And I think the kids today are missing something really incredibly important. Playing in small venues like that, where you could almost touch everybody in the room, was a big help to what I do for a living.
In what way? What would you say? Why?
It just made you more aware. The bigger the crowd, they're not near you. It's a different vibe totally. An intimate audience is spectacular. It just really is. I mean, guys like Sinatra and Sammy Davis and some of the biggest people of the past have played those kind of places. It was a new thing in the 60s for pop artists to play the Copacabana. I mean, we played it, the Supremes played it, the
Temptations
played it, everybody played. So everybody wanted to play the Copacabana, and if you played the Copacabana and sold out, man, that was terrific. And Jules Padel was a very, very strange dude.
Was he? He was tough. No, tough.
Oh, really tough. And he liked me a lot. I mean, he really liked me. And every night I would come in, I would try to avoid seeing him because he wanted me to sit and have a drink. And he'd sit there and he'd say, "You know what, kid? You don't need these guys. I've seen them all." And I had to sit and have a drink with this guy every night. It was really amazing.
And what was the first time you played Vegas? You remember, Frank?
It took a long time for Vegas to come through. And I can remember playing it. I played the lounge. And you did like 5 or 6 shows a night. You did your last show at 4 a.m. I remember doing it with Fats Domino and a couple of other acts that were record acts. But to actually play a room, the guy that really gave me a break was Jimmy Tamer of the Aladdin Hotel. Then I played it with Rickles. I played it for you when you were running it.
Yeah. You were there New Year's Eve.
Right.
But my first show, I moved to Vegas 79, 80. My first show that I saw, somebody caught me. You were at the Aladdin, and Rodney opened for you.
Right, you're right.
Rodney Oberfew. I went to see that show. I had $20 in my pocket. I gave the maitre d' $10, and I had $10 for the way to tip. I was dead broke. I was a kid. I just moved there. Rodney opened for you. It was a
You're
great
right.
show. My first show ever in Vegas.
You're right. Roberta Flack also opened for me in Vegas, and then Don Rickles. Don Rickles and I knew each other from when I was the Four Lovers. He was our opening act. And in those days, he had to have a guy because some of the things he would say to the audience would really, you'd get guys walk out of the audience, want to go right on stage and want to hit him. Don called me one time. He was playing the Riviera. He wanted me to open for him. And since I knew him so well, we said okay, and we did it. And I can remember we did so well that every night he wanted to cut our show down a little bit.
Yeah.